Welcome to week 2, day 2. We're gonna get right to it because you know what you're doing and you know what's coming. This first one is pretty tricky, but we're doing yoga push-ups. So what we're looking for is we're looking for push-ups that are more based on the triceps and our shoulders, so less on the chest this time. All right, so I'm gonna show both versions here. I'm gonna start with the version on our knees. So I'm on the ground here on my knees. If you need a pad for your knees, totally fine. But I'm gonna put my hands out in front of my shoulders, and then I'm going to basically duck like I'm going under a fence. And then here, I'm squeezing at the top for 3 seconds, really trying to squeeze the triceps, the back of the arms here. And then I'm gonna go back down and reverse the process this way. Just make sure that you're not using your weight too much, as in if I get here and I just move all my weight backwards, then it's easier and probably looks awkward. So instead, try to make all the work in the triceps and the shoulders instead of it. So now I'll show you the foot version, which is a lot harder, but if I do the same thing on my feet, ducking under the fence, up here, holding for 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'll do 3 like this. The hardest part of this is the part where you're coming back right here. So if you need to put your knees down and do that, that's totally fine as well too. You can kind of make a hybrid of both. If you're worried about your wrists, if that hurts your wrists in any way, this is going to strengthen your wrists over time. But if they're not ready for it right now, that is fine. Go back and do the tricep exercise that we already did from the last week too. We're just looking for a new way to stimulate the back of the arms, the triceps, for good overheads, for good shoulder posture and mobility. So if this is too much for the wrist, just go ahead and find one of our other tricep exercises and substitute it instead. So Tyler's gonna show you again, he's gonna put his hands out in front of his shoulders and he's gonna duck underneath, yep. And then over time, like on the next one, I wanna see if he can keep his elbows a little bit closer to him instead. So that time they went out a little bit. There you go. As much as he can, if he can keep his triceps near his body, or his elbows near his body, it's gonna be a whole lot harder for one. There you go, good. Exactly, just ducking underneath. He's now found that if he's wearing his hat forwards while doing this, it does rub on the ground sometimes. Awesome, we'll have him stop there for that. So if you try to do the 3 to 1 from there, the hold for 3, do 3. If you can do that 3 times throughout the day as well too, it's gonna be great, but it might be very tough. So just do what you can and work up to it over time. So the next one we're gonna do is we're gonna do a goblet squat. So it's gonna look like a squat, but we're just gonna hold this like a goblet apparently. So we're just gonna hold it however you'd like. I like to hold it this way. It's just easiest on the wrist to hold it, because all we're looking for is a way to weight the fact that we're squatting. So now I'm gonna squat down. I'm gonna just go ahead and notice how my chest is staying up while I'm doing it. There's a tendency when we teach a squat that we kind of crumble. We don't want that because we don't want that amount of strain on the back. With proper form and getting our butt back and our chest up, we'll be able to keep that load in the legs instead of the back. So from the front view, I'm also making sure that my knees are tracking over my toes. If you have a tendency to do this, stop it. No, but then think about pushing more through your whole foot instead. If you think about pushing through your foot and kind of grabbing the ground with your toes, it brings your knees out, and that's how you're gonna be out in the pickleball court too. You wouldn't be like this, you'd be nice and strong so that you're mobile at the same time. Yep, good. So I wanna see if he can keep his knees back a little bit, so he's gonna sit back a little bit more this time. There you go. So now his knees did not go over his toes this way. And it's okay if that happens in other aspects. We used to think that that was such a terrible thing, but there's areas of the quads that actually only get worked when we do that. But now is not the time to do that. There are other exercises we can do to fix that part. How's that feel? Good. Good. So because this isn't a huge amount of weight, we're gonna do more like 25 of these. I'm not gonna make Tyler do all these right now to make you watch them all, but we're trying to do 25 of these throughout this part of the exercise, because this is a lot more of how you're gonna use it out there on the pickleball court. It's gonna be higher repetitions with a lighter weight so that you're mobile out there. All right, so now we have yoga ball abs, and what we're doing here is last time we did it for the obliques where we were twisting. This time we're not gonna twist, we're just gonna go straight up and down. So it's gonna feel a little bit more like a crunch, but we're not gonna be sacrificing the back while we're crunching. That's why the yoga ball is making it harder. So I'm here, I'm already squeezing my abs here as if I was bracing for a punch. Now, my arms are gonna be up, and I'm just gonna try to get up just an inch or two, but I'm already squeezed, now I'm squeezed even more. I'm already squeezed, and now I'm squeezed more. So what I'm not doing is now just relaxing on the ball and then trying to do this, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna use momentum instead. So I don't want you to use the bounciness of the bouncy ball. I want you to just squeeze the abs and then squeeze them even more. Try to move as little as possible, but just squeeze the abs to get you up. Yep, exactly. So he's braced. If I were to just punch him right now, he's gonna be protected. And then yep, exactly. So see if he's gonna touch my hands. Exactly. How's it feel? Good. That was the answer that I wanted. That means he's squeezing the core. Awesome. So we would want to see if we can crank out 30 of these. If that's something you have to work up to, that's totally fine. But if we can hit all 30, your core is going to thank you, and so is your pickleball play. All right. Next up, we're going to have the bicep curl, but this time we're going to use the band. I know we're doing a lot of these, but again, pickleball demands a whole bunch at the same time too. So it's not just trying to show off for your arms. We're looking for good pickleball play. By doing this, it's going to protect your elbow. So now what we're looking for is we're just going to use the band to now pull up. The reason why I like the band here instead of the dumbbell, which we've already done, is it gives a different level of resistance, because now it's resisting the band itself and not just gravity in its direction. So your choice here, your palm up or your thumb up, wherever you feel like you get the most work here. So all I'm trying to do is disallow my elbow from moving and just bring my hand closer to my shoulder. So if I were to do this, it's not my bicep anymore, it's more of a shoulder, and now it's not enough weight to get anything done. So just stay nice and calm, barely move. Give it a go. Because this is a lighter weight, we're looking for the endurance here to protect the elbow and the shoulder. We're going to do a 5-to-1. So he's going to hold for 5. He's going to try to keep his elbow nice and still. He's holding for 5. Yeah, he's shaking. And he's going to do 5. So now that he's getting pretty good at this and it's week 2, you can go a little quicker. So see if you can do these 5 a little quicker, but keeping the squeeze. So the speed in which we do everything is the amount of work being done by the muscle is technically the amount of weight that you're moving and how fast you move it. But the big kicker is if we're missing the intention of the muscle because we went for speed, then we were actually doing less in that certain area. So we have to make sure we don't miss. So if he's keeping that squeeze and he's really doing well at keeping it there, he's welcome to go faster as long as he's keeping it. And then we can be even more time efficient. Nice. Awesome. So holding for 5, doing for 5, all the way down to holding for 1 and doing 1. Now for our little cardio addition at the end, we're going to use our fancy built-in timers again. You can use apps for this that will time your rest, but I like to just use the stopwatch and just count it off myself. So for 30 seconds, what we're going to do is we're going to do a squat, curl, and a press. So I know a lot of things that we've been doing so far have been fairly robotic because I want to make sure that the specific muscle is what's doing it. This time we can kind of move and groove a little bit more. So I'm going to basically squat, I'm going to curl up, and I'm going to press it. So I'm just going to do this now to get my heart rate going. So I'm getting my whole body moving at the same time. Now when I squat, I'm making sure that we're using that good form. My butt's back, my knees are over my toes, and I'm stable, pushing through my whole foot. And then when I'm curling, my elbows aren't moving, and then I'm pressing up. And then I'm just doing it as a unit, and I'll do it for 30 seconds, and then we'll rest. So I'll have Tyler do 2 rounds of it with us, but I'm actually going to kick it up a notch because he's an athletic guy. We're going to make it 15 seconds of rest instead of 30. So if you need 30, do 30. But if you want to kick it up a notch, we're going to do 15. And we'll do it with you. Ready? Go. Awesome. See if you can sit back just a little bit more. That way your knees stay right here. There we go. Cool. Now at the top, when he's pressing up, even though he's doing this quicker to get cardio, when he's pushing up with his shoulders, he's making sure to push up with just his shoulders and not shrugging with his neck. So he's doing basically 3 parts of exercises that we've already done, all blended into one, because we want his heart rate to go up, because when we play pickleball, our heart rate rises, and then we rest, go ahead and take a little break. So when we're playing, we move. We're moving through the point. We might run up to the kitchen. We might have a fun dinking battle that we then just put away, and then we get a little bit of a break in between. So when we're training this way, we're training this way for pickleball specifically, because of the demands of pickleball are we got to go, 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 and then we'll rest again for a bit. Time's up. Let's do it again. Perfect. Remember his knees are right over his toes. Good job. Pushing through the whole foot is going to be a very, very helpful thing. Thinking as if he needed to jump. So if I was his opponent and I lobbed him at this moment, he should be able to jump up and down. If he wasn't able to jump because he was on his heels, he might end up taking a step backwards, which could be dangerous, but it also means my lob is going to be well past him. He's not going to go get it. So this way he's going to use his whole foot. Absolutely. There's the 30 seconds. Good job. If you can do 5 rounds of that on the end of this, that's going to be plenty of cardio between this and the pickleball that you're doing. Obviously, you're eating well throughout the week too, and you're going to be good to go.